For today's review, I'll be taking a look at Batman the Ride at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. This was the first ever S&S 4D free spin coaster. There's now a couple of them out there, and there's 3 more coming to the United States next year. All of them are at Six Flags parks. This one specifically in San Antonio, Texas. And from what we can tell, this is going to be the new boomerang. A lot of these 4D coasters are going to start popping up. I wouldn't be surprised if some parks outside of Six Flags start adding these, because for the most part, people like them. However, I have a bit of an unpopular opinion with this ride. I had heard good things about it, so I was looking forward to being able to try it out because I had actually gone to Six Flags Great Adventure earlier in the year to ride the Joker, but it wasn't open yet. And so this was my first ever free spin. It's still the only free spin I've ridden. I'll probably get around to riding one of the Jokers next year. But as for now, this is the only one I've ridden, and I don't know if I got a bad ride or anything, but I only experienced it once, and I was not a fan. Here's how I like to think about it. This is a Huss top spin, but in roller coaster form. And I'm not the hugest fan of top spins. I like watching them, not as much riding them, but I can tolerate them. Here's what makes this different from a top spin besides the obvious. Top spins, their rotations feel very controlled. This is completely out of control. It is sudden. It is surprising. It is random. On a top spin, you can predict what is going to happen next. On this, that is almost impossible. And that is one thing that they have emphasized with these rides, is that it's going to be a different ride every time. So, because I only rode it once, maybe I did get a bad ride on it. I think that is certainly possible. And I'm acknowledging that because I know a lot of people like these. So, when I experienced it and I found myself getting off it saying I did not enjoy that, I too was thinking to myself, well, is it like that all the time? Or what's going on? And really, I'm not going to know for myself if I had a bad ride or not until I experience another one of these. But until that day comes, I am not a huge fan of these S&S 4D coasters. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are definitely some good things about this ride. This was the first coaster to come to Fiesta Texas since 2008. So it was 7 years since their last one. So it's definitely great that they got a new roller coaster, and these things are compact. So it's going to be easy for parks to add these. They take up a very small amount of space. And the theming isn't bad on this ride. Obviously, Batman is a stereotypical theme, but I thought they did a nice job with this, especially in the queue line. I like how they made it a movie theater, kind of like setting up the origin for Bruce Wayne, where his parents were killed. And then you enter inside the movie theater and you see a bunch of schematics, a bunch of diagrams. It's really cool. And of course you have the Batmobile once you get a little bit closer. So I thought they did the theming actually pretty decently with this. And I don't know how on earth you would incorporate it into the ride experience. So I think what they did in the queue line is definitely sufficient enough. I also like how this is one of the only 4D roller coasters in the United States, at least as of right now. Think about it. You have X2 and Green Lantern in California, this one in Texas, and then the other free spin in New Jersey. So as of 2016, this is one of the only 4D coasters in the United States. And before this really came along, the 4D coaster was never really that popular, but after the success of this one, there's now going to be 4 more coming to the world as of 2017. So the point is that this coaster was the beginning of something big. It was the prototype that became successful, and now more parks want them. And I think getting back to my experience, I assumed that it must be a good ride, otherwise why would Six Flags install multiple of them? So I went in with a pretty positive attitude, looking forward to the experience. But then as soon as we went over that vertical lift hill, we just go over that first flip and I just was not a fan. I don't know if it's because it's too sudden, because the rotations weren't done well enough, but really, as I was riding it, I was thinking to myself, oh, when is this thing going to be over? So is this a bad ride? No, I don't think so. It's just not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I think now that I know what to expect, if I were to experience another one of these, I'd have a different type of attitude towards it. And once again, who knows, maybe my opinion of it will change. But getting back to the public's perspective, it seems like most people are a fan of these. And if the majority of people like them, then that's good. Six Flags has succeeded. One thing I would be interested in seeing, though, is if they took this concept and put it with a roller coaster that doesn't have a vertical type layout. This coaster doesn't have any right or left turns. I'd love to see some of those applied to this kind of concept. See how that changes the experience. Because like they said, the rotations are going to be different, but you are going to have some similarities because some fins will control when the seats rotate. But because of your weight, it's going to differ per ride. So I think that does make it re-rideable for people that like that kind of thing. But if you're not a fan of those sudden, quick changes where you're being flipped head over heels, I don't know if you're necessarily going to like this. So I definitely want you to be able to experience one of these for yourself, form your own opinion. But as for me, not a big fan. This was honestly probably one of my least favorite coasters at Fiesta Texas. I rode it once and I didn't have the desire to ride it again. What's funny is I even had a pass that would have allowed me to skip the line and just hop right on, but I didn't even want to do that because I'd rather spend my time riding Iron Rattler. So I'm sure some of you are wondering, what score am I going to give it? And I definitely had a hard time trying to decide what score to give this thing, because I realize how some people could like it, but I myself don't. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. And really, I think that's even being a bit generous. So take that as you will. What is your personal preference of Batman the Ride, or these S&S free spins in general? I personally am very interested in hearing people's reactions to this thing, hearing if people agree with me, or if there's going to be people in the comments that are like, Taylor, you're insane, you're dead wrong. But you know what? That is my opinion, and you can't say that my opinion is wrong because it's an opinion. It's definitely an unpopular opinion, and I apologize for that. I apologize for not liking the ride. My bad. But I do want you to post all of those thoughts in the comment section below, so make sure to do that. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys next time.